My name's James.
And I'm Ashley.
We sold our house and we are traveling across the country with our kids.
My name's Goose and this is Maverick. Come join us.
Looks like a big puff.
Is her hair too fluffy, guys?
Don't judge. Got lots and lots of hair. So the first thing that we really wanted to do before we started with anything is make sure that we had the right concept.
Because we had lots of different ideas. Like, a lot of people paint their RVs like pure white, or we saw some that had like some really dark black contrasty stuff. And then Ashley was
Well, there was like pops of color. Like, that's exactly what I want. I want pops of color.
You were thinking possibly orange at one point in time, or like
No,
a yellow.
I was thinking yellow.
So we officially found the color that we liked when we went to Home Depot and just looked at their paint swatches. And we found something that was called chimney or charcoal.
Chimney.
And so then we brought that home and I took some pictures, and here is the concept photos that I came up with. So I took photos of the bedroom and the bathroom and the kitchen, and then I edited them to make them look as close to what we were seeing in our mind as possible. So this is the concept photos for the bedrooms and the cabinets and whatnot. This is kind of what we were going for. This is the overall look right here.
Bam, 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 bam.
They've already seen it.
Oh.
So once we figured out and finalized the colors that we wanted, we went to Home Depot and we splurged. We bought like the high quality paint that's easy to wash off, because
We have Apollo.
these walls are gonna get dirty
And the
with
children.
kids and me. Yeah, I just own it for you and blame me now. So we got the nice paint, and we also had read and seen on multiple blogs and videos that you can buy a sticky primer. I think we got this 123 primer. I don't remember the exact brand, but there are a bunch of different options.
Sticky sandpaper primer.
Yeah, because we really wanted to avoid sanding everything down. We wanted to be able to just paint the primer and then paint on the paint and be done with it.
Basically, we wanted like the lazy man's version of doing a good job.
Exactly. And it just didn't work. Like, the paint, even the sticky primer was like bubbling on the surfaces, that because they were just the surfaces were so smooth from the vinyl, or not vinyl, what is it called? So I don't know what the sealant was that over on some of the fake wood, but it just wouldn't paint on it. All of the cabinets and most of the wood surfaces.
We ended up having to do 2 layers, which was frustrating.
Of the primer. We're not even talking paint, just the primer, because it was like bubbling and wasn't creating this nice smooth seal. And then even once we did get a nice coat on, it peeled so easily. Instead of like scratching, if you like have something that scratches up against the wall or whatnot, it would actually scratch and then peel off like a sheet of cellophane or something like that. It would just peel off.
Cellophane, Mr.
Anyways, so we ended up abandoning I was gonna say The Greatest Showman, but Chicago.
Oh my gosh, I'm super surprised.
Heck yeah. Anyways, back to RV renovation. We gave up on that primer pretty quickly because we realized with the children and the dog and me that just wasn't gonna last. Okay guys, don't mind the fact that the trailer looks like a bomb went off. That is so crazy. Check out what's going on in here. Hey, Mommy, what are we doing?
Torturing ourselves?
So, we really haven't filmed the progress of this, but we're super close to being finished. We just have to paint these 2 black accent pieces, and then we'll do touch-ups in a day or so from now once it dries. But other than that, this is what it's gonna look like. We got the headboard type thing that's gonna be this dark kind of charcoal color, and then we have the dresser, which is this kind of charcoal color. Everything else is kind of this off-whitish color to match the ceiling. I cannot tell you guys how long this has taken and how much patience it has taken. You wouldn't think that painting a trailer would take that long, but oh my goodness, there are so many nooks and crannies and little things to get right. I just hope that it's worth it. We even painted the pooper. We then made the decision we need to remove every single cabinet door, every single piece of wood, and sand it down
And then we took a long, hard look at the life decisions
that we made, and we're very saddened and depressed because in the tiny little RV there is so much stuff to sand.
And it's not even like just like a nice wall where you paint it on. Everything's beveled, everything is just...
There's small little parts, and so it's not like a big... You can't use like the big rollers because there's not that much space. it was more difficult than we imagined. So
kudos to everybody who does it and has a smile on their face.
Come on, give me a smile.
Am I supposed to be happy about this? I don't think so. I'll give you a smile when it's all done.
Whew. Okay guys, we are in sanding mode right now. As you can see from this door behind me, all of the flat surfaces and big areas I was able to do with the electric sander, which was amazing. But unfortunately there's a lot of detail pieces in here which just can't be done with the electric sander. So mommy is up here working on this, I don't know, headboard, I don't know what to call it, piece, because as you can see it's nothing but curves and bendy holes and whatnot. So we're trying to get this last little bit sanded, that way we can start priming, because this is one of the few cool weekends we have. The past week has been 100, 105. Miserable weather. So today is only 85, so while we have the next 2 days where it's cool temperatures, we're trying to get out here and bust out as much of this as we can. So for the past week or so, on and off at night when it's not 100 degrees outside, I have been working on sanding down these cabinets. For the most part, we've used this little hand sander, which has been awesome, thank you Grammy. But this sander only gets it so far. It gets it to look about like this. So you can see the tops and the flat surfaces and the sides are all good, but then we have these cracks in the corners, which is where this lady comes in. And this lady takes the little triangle sander, which also is from Grammy, thank you. And she tries and works out these corners to get it as clean as possible. So thankfully, we are towards the later half of the sanding. And since we have been sanding for the past week or so, we are now ready to start priming and painting all the cabinets, which is why now I'm inside Pops and Grammy's garage. Thank you again, Pops and Grammy. We would not have been able to do this without having your guys' help and or support through this whole process. So here is our cabinetry / door. And this is only about, I would say, less than half. I would say this is about 30-40% of our cabinets and drawers. For living in such a tiny little space, I cannot believe how many stinking cupboard doors and or drawers we have to sand and paint. But we got all the glass taped off and ready to go. Everything is sanded down. As you can see, the cracks are not perfectly sanded, but we kind of reached the point of diminishing returns in our opinion. So we just kind of roughed up the cracks, and we're hoping that that works well enough. I don't think we'll have an issue because the main surface areas that are gonna get scratched are the flat areas. The cracks don't really get touched as much and are way less likely to get scratched and peel off. So I think we should be good to go, but man, this is a long process. Okay, now that the sanding portion is done, we've moved on to, as you've seen, the painting portion. And we've got the whole trailer primed and painted, and all that is done. And man, like I was saying earlier with the sanding, you would think that painting a small little trailer would be easy, but there's so many little parts and little pieces. You can't just use the big wide 8-inch, 12-inch rollers, rollers, whatever those are. You have to use the little skinny rollers.
No wonder it's scratching.
I mean, luckily, the only way we could have done this is because we were staying at your parents' house. Like, I can't imagine those people that renovate while living in their RV. I don't think that would have been possible for us, especially with kids and a dog. There would be hair everywhere. It would be disgusting.
Well, that and the smell. Like, I didn't want the kiddos
sleeping in the
fumes.
While that paint is drying, we move on to more of our creative endeavors. Not that painting isn't creative, but Ashley had the ingenious idea of...
He acts like it's such a surprise. I have a lot of amazing ideas, people.
Okay, I was trying to be nice, but actually she had a horrible idea about painting these stairs, and I turned it into something amazing. So this is what actually happened. So we found a garage sale up in Yakima while we were visiting my sister, and we bought a whole bunch of old Reader's Digest books and these travel books.
We were so excited when we found them.
We've been looking for books for a long time.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And we could not find any that were affordable. Like if we wanted to pay $1 or $2 a book, we could do that, which may not seem like much, but when you're talking like 40 or 50 books, that's $100 to drop on a creative endeavor.
And a lot of them weren't even things that I had been considering. Like,
picturing
they
in your
weren't.
mind.
It wasn't what I pictured.
So we found these books which were perfect. They were affordable. I think it was $10 for these like multiple buckets of books, and they were exactly what we're looking for plus more. So then we had to figure out, okay, how exactly are we going to execute this? And that's where this comes in. As Ashley said earlier, it feels wrong to be doing this, but they'll get way more use like this than they will sitting on a bookshelf.
Or going into the dump.
That too.
It was like painful. I have some like real favorites up in this. This Business, like Treasure Island, The Call of the Wild. What else is in here? There were so many fun things, which is why I'm gonna take some of the chapters. Why I'm gonna take some of the pages out and somehow use those. Where's some of the other stuff? Where is my hairbrush? Pride and Prejudice. Come on now. Who doesn't love the good Pride and Prejudice?
Ashley struggled with me cutting those books, and even me not being a book lover, it felt wrong to destroy these books like this. And you guys don't even know why we were doing it. We keep talking about these creative endeavors, but I think we're gonna keep that part a surprise reveal for the RV tour. So the first part that we mainly got the books for, that'll be a surprise. But then Ashley felt so bad that she came up with the idea of doing something else.
My own little memorial for the books now.
Ashley's in her element. Books and arts and crafts. That actually looks pretty cool. So we are Mod-Podging this table, you guys. We originally were talking about doing the actual dining table.
I just don't think it would look right.
Yeah, and we are doing the cutting board, little extension to the counter.
Potentially. I haven't decided.
But I think this is just the first layer. And then on the top part, we're going to put these photos, which are obviously photos that Ashley has near and dear to our heart, and some that Goose has really enjoyed to kind of spice up the top. But even black and white, I'm really kind of digging that, and almost thinking maybe it should only be black and white.
But when we found these books at a garage sale, I got really excited and was hoping that they would have some pictures in it, because I had been thinking about decoupaging. And they did, and I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, so
I saved some of the other pictures.
Even these black and white photos are pretty cool.
Like, I saved some of the other pictures for the cutting board that I really, really liked, but...
I'm almost thinking maybe we should do Harry Potter, but just use the black and white ones, like this one and other ones that we have. I don't know,
if that fly lands on it and sticks and dies, I'm gonna be ticked off.
I think it looks pretty darn cool in just black and white. And let me tell you, it's a pain in the butt to get wrapped around these edges. And I know it's not perfect. There's all sorts of bubbles. We have mistakes. We've never Mod-Podged before, but...
Well, we've never Mod-Podged something like this. Like, little things I have.
But there are books and papers cut up everywhere. You guys want to see a disturbing sight to book lovers? This whole entire bag is full of books that we destroyed.
Reader's Digest.
When we started doing this, I really wasn't sure what it was going to look like or how it was going to turn out, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how cool this looks, even for a non-book lover like me. Maybe we could throw like a movie poster in there or something, but...
I tried to find something Star Wars, but I'm like, no.
There is a ton of Star Wars.
There are Star Wars books.
We could do some black and white Star Wars, at least in the background.
It was just, I couldn't find anything that worked. So if you can find something that worked, I am more than happy to put it on.
And in addition to doing all of these cosmetic things like painting and whatnot, we also did a lot of functional upgrades. Like we upgraded our tires on the truck, we upgraded stuff to the dirt bike rack, we started doing research and getting into solar and battery banks, which you will see videos on those in the future. So excited about that. But here, let's take a look at what I did to reinforce the bumper so we didn't have the same issue that we had in the past with the dirt bike. Alright guys, so one of the things I'm excited to do this summer is, you guys have known we've had some major issues with our bumper. Well, that sucks. But when we got back here, I was checking out some of our brackets that are mounting the bumper to the fifth wheel. And I started to see some wear and tear, so even some cracking. Like if you zoom in here and look on some of this, there's some cracking on some of these. And really concerning when that holds up all of our dirt bike weight. Now, to be fair, I am pushing this to its limit. I am at about exactly max weight, and we're driving thousands and thousands of miles. So I hit up the company Mountain Lock and let them know that, you know, we've seen some cracking and we've had some issues. And they're like, yeah, no problem. We'll send you out all new stuff. So they sent us out brand new brackets to put on here. And I'm actually going to kind of double up using some of the old ones and some of the new ones. So hopefully we'll be more than sufficient for what we're towing. Whenever I'm towing, it's always in the back of my head, like, is the dirt bike okay? Is it bouncing? Is it wiggling? Like, what's going on? And so knowing that we're doing this right and doing it like more so than it was before, I think it'll give us some good peace of mind, or at least me peace of mind while we're on the road.
And he's finally getting it done.
That's right, finally. Far too long.
And maybe he will even get a break.
So the thing I'm doing differently this time, guys, is last time the manufacturer just gave you bolts that were about this long, and you only went through one wall of this rectangular tube. Sorry, I'm having focus issues. So what I did is I went and got ahead and got these 2.5-inch bolts that I punctured all the way through, and then I also have these 2 extra brackets on this side. So theoretically it should be, because you can see it just comes with just that. So having these 2 extra should help support it a little bit, plus having the bolts on the opposite end instead of just kind of screwing into the steel should hopefully be a lot sturdier. That's the theory, at least. Took enough time, I'm hoping it worked. Goose was practicing her hammering yesterday or earlier today.
Can I show him?
All right, go ahead, Goose. Tell them what you're doing.
So I am going to I'm going to hammer these nails in here.
Okay.
Dad, can you kind of show them the nails?
Yep, there we go. You see them?
So,
All right, go for it. Let's see it.
Oh.
You gonna help me, Mav? You helping me? What? Hey, where are your pants? All right, let's see it, Goose. Here, try this one. Precision. Precision. I really suggest, if you have any sort of Photoshop skills, to do that kind of thing, because it really helped us visualize what it was going to look like. We eliminated multiple colors and figured out different shades of things we liked. That helped out huge, because that concept photo you saw is so close to the final product, just with little tweaks.
Yeah.
So that really was helpful.
Yes. So making sure that you just kind of test it out before you go, because that is a whole lot of dedication to something that you might not like. So another tip that I would say is, if you are going to paint on smooth surfaces, like what we did, I would test it first. We just kind of went for it.
Because we were so sure that it was going to work because of all the different blogs and stuff we read about and videos we've seen.
Yeah, and we talked to the people at the store and everything.
Learn from our mistakes. Don't just think it's going to work because you've been told that it's going to work. Test it out. And even if it does work, like Ash says, on the areas that are going to be beat up, like on the floorboards and that kind of thing, or the cabinets that are touched all the time, I highly suggest sanding. It may be a pain, but in the long run, it'll pay off.
Completely worth it. And just know that there is a lot of work ahead of you if you're going to be redoing something. Just understand that. Wrap your mind around it.
So overwhelming when we had just started that room, and then we look out here and see all.
And we're like, do we really want to do that?
Poor life decision.
I mean, there was a point where I looked at James and I said, do we want to do this?
We can just stop partway through.
Really? We put primer on. We're good.
But I have, just being in our home, our trailer makes me happy. I loved it so much more. It was worth the months of sanding and painting and frustration and runs to Home Depot to buy new things and whatnot.
You're going to say in runs.
And the runs. Ashley got the runs.
Wait, why me?
And tip number 3, our last tip for renovating: definitely be creative and try and put your own spin on things. The things I love the most about it, obviously the paint is awesome, but the little things we did, like the Mod Podging of the tables and the other little things I'm not going to tell you about.
James's sewing skills.
My sewing, I busted out the sewing machine. Things like that where we put our little spin on it and made it feel more like us. definitely recommend doing that because that makes it feel so much like a home. It makes you feel so much more accomplished, proud, I guess, of the final outcome.
Well, it's yours. It just becomes yours.
Yeah. And stick with it. Like I said, it gets tough, but bust it out and you will be so happy you did.
And make sure that you're communicating before you start doing all of the work, all of the painting. Know that you guys are on the same page, the same chapter, because there was one point where I'm like, let's paint that one an accent and that one an accent. And James is like, whoa, slow your roll. So just make sure that you guys are on the same page and communicate, because I mean, it's the same in marriage as it is in renovating. Communication, communication, communication.
I'm really excited to show you guys the final product. We're sitting in it right now and it's amazing. But until next time, guys, remember, stay positive. Even when you don't think you'll ever finish your renovation, get out there. Life is an adventure, so make some memories.